everybody, it's Cherie here. Welcome to my very first ever scrapbooking process video. Today I'm going to be working with these photos of my daughter and the beautiful Felicity Jane kit. I've got all my cut aparts cut out, ready to use, so I'm good to go. Okay, I'll speed the rest of the video up for you so you don't have to watch me doing all the boring bits, and I hope you enjoy it. Back soon. Okay, let's get started. To begin this page, I really wanted to use this lovely green spotty paper across the top of my page, and my plan is to layer a couple of other colours and patterns underneath that across the page, and that'll be the base of my design. So I'm just going to play around with how I want my design to roughly look. So I've got my photos there. I want to use one of those pretty little cardstock banners to the side, and I do end up using that little string of hearts there. It's so cute. Alright, so now I've got that in mind, so I'm going to play around with some other pattern paper across the page. So I'm just going to try that black and white hearts paper. While I was doing that, I noticed that that paper had a yellow striped branding strip, so I've cut that off to see how that looks, and I'm quite happy with that yellow strip there. I always love a little pop of yellow on the page. It's such a nice colour. So I've got that black and white paper now. I'm just going to swap out that floral paper just to see how the black and white strip looks. And I'll leave that there for a little while as I put everything else onto the page just to see how that looks. So now I'm going to play around with my embellishments, and I'm using these beautiful florals from the cut apart sheet. Now the cut apart sheet in this month's kit is a 6x12 sheet, and there's so many beautiful little things on there to cut out and use on your page. So there's these florals, there's little birds, there's labels, tags, so many things to choose from. The word smile that I'm using for my title is also from the cut apart sheet. And there's that little string of hearts banner that I also wanted to use as well. So I'm just going to play around now with other little bits and pieces that I might like to add. So there's little labels, there's flares as well. I found that little love heart. I like that little heart there in the yellow, so that just adds a little bit more yellow to the page. So I thought I'm quite happy with that, but let's try that floral strip under there again, just to make sure that I don't want to use that. And it does look okay with that floral, but as you'll see, I do change my mind again a bit later. So I'm just playing around to see what else I can find to add onto there. And I found that little flare with a bow on it, and then I saw this black and white bow. And that I really liked that. It just helps to complete that visual triangle with the black banner, the black title word, and that black and white bow. So I'm just looking through my papers again, and I found this black and white paper that's like a burst pattern on it. So I've cut a strip of that, see how that looks underneath, and I really like that, and that's the paper that I do end up using. So I'm just going to play around a little bit more just to make sure there's nothing else that I want to add to the page. So I try that little tag, but no, I pull that out again. I'll save that for another page. I tried another flare, but in the end I really love that black and white bow. So that makes it back onto the page. Okay, so now I'm ready to stick everything down. So I've grabbed my double-sided tape. I'm going to layer those strips underneath that, underneath the green, that branding strip as well. and I'll adhere that to the very top of my page. So now I'm going to pull out my sewing machine and just run a line of stitching along the edge of the green paper. I love adding machine stitching to my page. It just adds that little bit extra texture. I do use sewing on most of my pages, you'll see. I can't help it. It doesn't seem complete without a little bit of stitching on there. Alright, so now I'm adding my photos. Make sure I've got that little doily tucked in behind there and that I've got enough space to the right of my photo for those pretty florals. So I'm adding that bow onto the page. I'm going to staple that banner just onto the edge of the page, and then the other end of the banner I've just tucked underneath the edge of that photo as well. I've used some foam tape underneath my title word, so that just helps it give a little dimension, pops it off the page a little bit. And add that little heart in there as well. And I also add some foam tape underneath those florals too, just so they have a little bit of dimension as well. Okay, it's starting to come together, so I thought now I'll add a little bit of stamping, and I've used the Jane stamps that are out of the kit, and I've chosen the word lovely just to add to above my title there. So I'm using black ink and just stamp that a couple of times, and there's also a little row of dots in the stamp set as well, so I'm just going to stamp that a couple of times to the bottom right of that second photo as well. And I can't forget to put the date on there too. So now I'm going to take my page away and add a few ink splatters and some journaling strips as well. And that finishes off my page. So thank you so much for joining me for my very first scrapbooking process video. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll be back very soon with another project to share. Thanks for watching.